somebody had a question concerning the clone slash tear slash demons. They wanted to know if these beings are manifesting in the flesh or are they just using bodies to operate in. And from my findings, I think it's both. They're doing both. They can produce bodies made out of flesh and blood through cloning or other means. I mean, they created the original one back in Genesis that we read about, right? They made these disgusting bodies of flesh and blood, and all they did was trap a being in this body and get it to operate. And yeah, they started doing that with a lot of beings out there. But anyways, that's for another topic. So yeah, they are producing bodies. They know how to produce these bodies of flesh and blood, these corrupt bodies, and they could jump in them, animate them, and kind of do what they need to do without exerting a lot of energy. If they were to just manifest in the flesh, that takes up a lot more energy, and it's probably not wise for them to do that. Just like the good angels, okay? They can manifest in the flesh, be in spirit bodies. Some of us are in flesh and blood bodies, so it's they mirror one another, okay? Whatever they could do, we're doing. Well, as far as these bodies go, being born into the flesh or taking up flesh. But the cloning and all those nasty projects that they're involved with, no, we have nothing to do with that, or we shouldn't have anything to do with that. Anyways, so yeah, I've read extra biblical texts that described how some unclean spirits manifest in the flesh and they do whatever they're assigned to do or they need to do in order to deceive people. And if that means manifesting in the flesh and just preaching, teaching, and spreading nonsense, that's what they do. I've read how these unclean spirits take up the form of humans in order to accomplish their agenda, okay? I think this was in the writings of Clement. I'm not sure. But, yeah, it says that. So I believe there's some truth to that. It's just a matter of me finding it and showing it to you on screen. But that would just basically add more work to what I'm telling you. Maybe somewhere down the road I'll be able to do that. Well, I'm able to do that, but I'm hoping that just by you listening to me, you could kind of, begin to understand that there is a possibility that that's what's going on. They are just manifesting in the flesh. I believe that, okay? And sure, more proof would be wonderful besides those ancient writings that I just mentioned to you. Yeah, so they could create these bodies, all right? They're the ones behind these flesh and blood bodies that are produced unnaturally. And I mean, we've seen this in the movies. They show it to us. They clue us in, okay? You see these bodies in water tanks. I mean, they're not gonna tell you right out, but they show you quick images and hoping that you'll be, able to think deeper than what you're looking at on screen and connect the dots. It happens briefly, but basically they're telling you, look, if you could study this, analyze what you're seeing, you'll see that we're making bodies of flesh and blood where we could just jump in them, animate them, or some of us could just appear in the flesh, whatever's more convenient for them. So they're doing both, okay? Yeah, they could clone their bodies, they could reproduce these bodies, unorganic, tear bodies. Actually, some of them could even be born through the womb of a woman and be tears, okay? You might actually think that they're normal humans, but they're lacking when it comes to soul, right? Something's just off about them, and it'll stick out. Think of the seed of Cain, the seed of Esau, some of these Terra Hamites, these Terra Negroes, and on and on and on. So, yeah, there's a lot of ways they could come into this realm, through the womb. They could come just through underground labs, cloned bodies, unorganic bodies produced in a lab somewhere on this earth. They can manifest in the flesh, spirit beings appearing, as flesh and blood, but you wouldn't be able to tell unless you know what to look for. So yeah, a lot of things are going on. It's both. Like I said, they show it to us in their movies. We could read about it in extra biblical texts. And there's even people out there admitting to the things I'm telling you, okay? So don't wonder. It's both. They're doing both. And actually, they're doing more than just both. They're doing all three things. They're actually born of a woman. They can be, women can produce tares. That's biblical. If you study the Bible, you'll see that. You could read about the fallen angels back there in Enoch's time, right? The giants and all that. Okay, so and people, they don't think, they're like, oh, well, okay, if fallen angels could do that, produce hybrids, they don't see how, these other fallen angels of higher rank could produce a tare offspring such as Cain. Yeah, so you got that one. Esau, again, it's another attempt at producing another tare lineage like Cain's. And there's just so many of them, okay? And yeah, they could produce bodies, anything to deceive you, anything to create these bodies, whether it's more, tricky if you have a tare being born through a woman because you think it's a normal child, but it's not until it grows up and you notice differences, things are odd about this child. So yeah, they got that. They got I think the cloning is more or less for TV, so they could jump on, TV and do what they need to do. But if they want to destroy families, they might want to infiltrate the families by, impregnating the woman with their reprobate seed. And also they can manifest in the flesh if they have to too. If that's what they need to do, they feel they need to do, then they just appear from the spirit realm, appear as people, just like angels could do that, good angels. They just pop out of nowhere and whatever. So yeah, it's all going on, okay, the whole nine. So wonder no longer, okay. I'm sorry I don't have the text, the biblical text, the pictures, the movies I want to show you, and all the information, show you Bible verses, and explain to you how these offspring that came out of Adam and Eve are not necessarily fully human. Especially whatever comes out of the woman is not necessarily good, okay? So, there's so much I could use and I should be using, but that's just too time consuming. Sometimes, scripture says that faith cometh by hearing. So if you hear and, it just strikes a chord with you, it rings true, then maybe I save myself time of digging up all these extra biblical texts, making a whole video, a long-ass video, putting images of movies and explaining to you, showing you clips and this and that. And I think that helps. And there's just so much to talk about that for me to just spend a lot of time in one topic, and instead of just covering as much as I can for now, I don't think that's good. Right now I just need to, air out whatever I need to air out. There'll be a time when I'll be able, like I said, to make more cloning revelation videos, big hype videos, talk about all this, use text and, movie clips, this and that. Just cover as much as I can about this. Even if it's like an hour and 30-minute video, maybe longer. But that's going to take time. I don't know when actually I'm going to get around to that. But I want to do that. I made one before, and I felt that one pretty much covered a lot of ground. And I even made an audio video recording talking about this. And I felt that should be good enough, but I guess, some people, it's in high demand. They want more to keep things relevant, and I understand that. And, I'll do my best to bring it out eventually. So, yeah, as far as these demons go, these tares, they are spirit beings, okay? They can appear out of nowhere just like good angels. They could be born through a woman. If a woman gets with a tare, or a tare gets to a woman, impregnates her, then she's going to produce a tare seed, okay? Those are harder to detect. You think it's a normal child, but unless the spirit reveals to you you're carrying a freaking Esau or a Cain in you, then, you wouldn't know. So I wouldn't be mad at anybody for aborting a tare child, They're going to get taken out either way, so why not, take care of the problem early. And also, they could come out of underground labs, all right? They could just throw them into society. A lot of them are in Hollywood, all right? That's why you see the transsexual features in them. And like I said, the transsexual features, they come from from my understanding, I think Lucifer is a transsexual, imperfect, or I don't know what the hell exactly he is. But I guess when his mom created him, he was androgynous. I guess he wasn't. Maybe, I don't know. It was like a mess up, a mistake. He wasn't properly finished. So I guess he ended up being androgynous. And I read in the Gnostic text, I don't know how much I believe on those texts. Some of them, I think, some of the stuff there is legit. Some of the stuff I question. It says that he produced androgynous beings like himself, and that would explain where all the tranny, the tranny dilemma that we're dealing with is coming from. It would make sense that Lucifer wants to exalt his image over the male and female. He thinks that, it's normal when, he's just being rebellious. But instead of asking to be changed into solid gender, I guess he's rather defending that mistake that he carries with him everywhere he goes. And that's who he really is. Anyways. So, yeah. Androgynous angels. I don't know if good angels are androgynous. I'm not sure. I really don't know. But I do know that the image of the Most High is male and female solid. Why would we need androgynous beings going around if we could see what Lucifer is causing with his mold, whatever he is? I think that's true. That's true. If we're seeing a lot of androgyny, and all that transsexualism and, gender bending and all that, I think it's because it's true. Some of the Gnostic texts are true. Of course, people could argue about it because I haven't taken the time to sit down and give credence to these teachings, okay? I give time to the Bible. It's not easy. It's difficult. You've seen how difficult it was for me to tie the Apocrypha to the Bible and these extra biblical texts like the Targum of Jonathan that is mentioned there. So they make it as hard as possible for us to give credence to all these extra writings that expose their higher level knowledge that they're using against us. So you see what I have to deal with. I gotta, there's so many projects that I have to deal with that are in my hands that it's so time consuming and it's very exhausting to deal with if I were to do it on my own. But hey, just keep nibbling at the heels, as they say, right? Just keep taking small bites until people are able to see the bigger picture. But I'm hoping that people would just, begin to understand by just listening to me without having to show, much information on the screen, extra biblical text, movie clips, movie screenshots, all these different sources that clue us in subtly. So, yeah, anyways, I think a couple of things are going on here, and I can find things that back me up in regards to this, okay? So, yeah, just be patient, and I'm sure the Holy Spirit will confirm what I'm telling you if it's true or not, okay? So I'm not saying that it's 100%, but definitely things to consider. So with that being said, I hope you found what I said interesting, and just keep an open mind. Whatever you know to be true, hang on to that. Whatever you're not sure about, just put it on the shelf for now. Something to consider, okay? So I love you. Take care. Till next time. Shalom.